everyone, and welcome to Creating with Jazzy Bundles. Today we are going to make a card with washi tape. The supplies you're going to need are a straight edge ruler, some washi tape. You can have as many or as few different designs as you want. Just a pair of regular cutting scissors. You're going to want a crafting knife, kind of like an X-Acto blade, or mine is the Cricut blade. A pencil, and some type of paper that you can put your washi tape on. I like to make mine on a different piece of paper or cardstock and then mount it on top of the card later. For example, this one that I've already made here, you can see it'll go right on top. Now I've done them where I fill up most of the card like this, and then I've done them where I make them a smaller size and put maybe words down at the bottom or something like that. It's just up to you. If you would like to do this size where it makes it most of the card, you're gonna want your paper to be cut down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. 5 1/4 by 4 inches. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. I promise this is super simple and it's a lot of fun. You can do so many different things with this. So the first thing you're going to do is, and you probably don't have to do this step, maybe when you get really comfortable, but I like to do this. It gives me some guidelines for those first couple of pieces of tape that you put down. So you're going to want to make some lines on your paper, and if we kind of mimic the same design here, we draw a line from one corner to the other. And my paper that I'm using here is just some really cheap cover stock. It's not even actually cardstock that I'm using. It's just some really cheap cover stock. You're never going to see it. It's going to get taped down. Now, when I draw my lines, I personally like to draw them so that they don't go straight to the corner, because I like this look of where my tape kind of matches on both sides of the corner and like runs off on the corner like that. So I don't take my line all the way to the corner. If you want that look, by all means, you can do it straight from corner to corner or however you would like. So now that we have our guidelines of how we're going to put the tape down, now you get out some washi tape, whatever ones you want, whatever design you want to do, and you're just going to start laying it down. And I like to do the biggest piece, the biggest chunk or section first, but I line it up with the line, the pencil line. Doesn't have to be perfect, but obviously the more perfect you are with that line, the better it will look on the other side, I guess. All right, so the first one is down, and now you just kind of start making a pattern with it all. Again, you probably don't have to. You could do all of one kind on one side, and this is where you get to let your creativity kind of flow. You're just going to line each layer or each tape line up with the tape right before it. And this is probably the most difficult part, and it's really not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of patience. I know I've got mine mostly lined up when I run my finger over it afterwards, and it's all nice and smooth. Now, when you get to the corners, the very tip corners, you are probably going to end up with a little piece of some sort unless you manage to be able to land with a large one there, and it covers it a little bit more. But no worries, don't worry about this. Just cover it up. I guess I won't waste quite so much of my tape. But all right, so now you have your first row. Now make sure you rub your fingers over it, or something, squeegee or something over it really well so that it adheres to the paper. Remember, we use this tape for a lot of times to hold paper down so that because it comes off of it really easily. So just keep that in mind and brush it down really well. It'll stay down. All right, now you're gonna pick it up carefully without losing my corner piece here, which I managed to do this time. Flip it over, and we're gonna snip off the edges. Now, I suppose you could wait until you've done all of the sides before you do this piece, but you'll see here in a minute that it's easier if you go ahead and do it as you complete each side. I got tape attached to me. Alrighty. The nice thing about these cards is because washi tape comes in all different types of colors and patterns and everything else. You could do this for any holiday or any season, any occasion. These are nice to just make some up and keep them in a box or a little bag off to the side, and whenever you need a really quick card, you just pull one out, pop it on a card, and put a sentiment on if you want to. Or they also make just really nice note cards because you can have this nice, pretty, colorful front. All right, so now as you can see, we have our first section done. Now, when you do these other sections, the whole point is that they're going kind of a different direction. If on one of these sections I keep my diagonals in the same direction, there's not going to be this pretty 3 different type of pattern. Now, you could and have it where it goes up and up here and then a different pattern here. Whatever floats your boat and makes you happy, but I'm going to do 3 different types. So I'm going to start with this next big one here. And because I really want to make sure that my corner has this nice big piece of tape here, one less thing to fight with later, I am going to start with my big piece here. And you want to cut off or rip off the tape so that it overhangs a little bit onto this where you've already laid down some tape. Don't worry about that right now. You don't have to even push it down all the way, but make sure that it's in this corner right here real good. And I'll show you how we get rid of this tape here in just a minute. So I guess if I'm going to keep the same pattern, this comes next. I was so excited when I found this card type because I had all this washi tape that I just had to have because it was all so pretty, and I heard people saying that they used washi tape on their cards. It was a great thing to have, and I said, well, I have to have it too. But for the longest time I didn't know how to use it. it just kind of sat there. And then I found this card, or somebody make one of these types of cards, and I figured it out. So we'll again get to a little spot here in the corner with our tape, a little triangle spot. That'll be okay. You just want to keep lining it up right next to your previous one so that it all lines up really well. You can run your fingernail down there if you want to, but now comes the magic where I show you how to take that off. So first thing we're going to do, so it's easier to work with, is snip our paper, or our tape. We'll get rid of this one first because it's little. Snip off the tape. You could also, if you are not great at cutting a straight line off the back here, which I don't know if you can see that from here, but mine is not perfectly lined up with the card. You could always make your card base a little bit larger and trim it down to the actual size that you want later. That could also work. Then it would be perfect if that mattered to you. But I think on this one, I don't think I was as perfect either, and you can't really tell once you get it all out there and on. Okay, now to make these overlapping ones go away. So this is where you're going to take your straight edge again and learn from my lesson. I just got this ruler, and it has a metal edge on one side, and it's an acrylic ruler, so it's just acrylic on this side. And the very first time I cut along this edge with the acrylic, and that was not very good because it started to chip in a little bit here. So run along your metal side. That's probably the whole point of it. So learn from my mistake. And what you're going to do, now remember, washi tape is paper tape, so it's very thin, right? So you do not have to have much pressure. Running over it more than once is better than pushing really hard and cutting your paper up underneath. So you start at the edge, and you're just going to line it up line your ruler up with the edge of your tape over here. I guess you want to be pretty right on top of it for the most part. Okay, and lightly, again, running more times is better than cutting through your paper at the bottom. All right, and if you've done it enough times, it will just separate. And now we should be able to do that for all of them. And this part especially I like to do after each side that I do, because it gets kind of funky in this corner if you wait until you've got all of it laid down. Then it's hard to find where your corner is. So you can see that you cannot see the white line in here. That may take you a couple of times to figure out exactly how to line up your ruler and whatnot. You can always run your fingernail in here, and it'll push it down a little bit if you happen to overlap on this side a little on the tape that was already laid down previously. But it's there, and once you get it figured out. But if it's not perfect, don't worry about it, because there's a way for us to go back and put something over top. I'll show you how that works in a minute. All right, So next thing we're going to do is, I'm actually going to work my way from the outside. This card I started on the inside and worked out, and I did not do it straight apparently, because you can see on the end it's thinner on this side than it is on this side. So I'll be able to avoid that if I start on the outside and just line my tape up exactly with the card edge. And I'll make sure that my big corner there is taken care of at the same time too. So that will work well. All right. There. All right. My pink next. And now I've got this teeny tiny little corner here, but that's all right. And again, don't worry about this tape hanging over. I'm going to do our little magic trick again here in a minute and get rid of all of it. It'll be all right. All right. Especially for my little corner here. Little triangle. All right, cut off my little tape end here. So it doesn't stick to my workspace. It'll drive me bananas. All right, time for a magic trick. Now, again, you just line it up. Less pressure, but going over more times is better than more pressure and ruining your card base. And remembering where you ended in your corner here is also important. I went a little over this time. That's okay. We're going to cover it up. Or a little under, I guess it would be. No big deal. All right, now we'll go on this side. Yeah, a little bit closer this time. Oh, I got a little closer at the beginning and then straight a little bit there. That's all right. Okay, and now there's the basis, the base of your washi tape card. Now I'm going to show you how to do that really pretty part there where it separates the sections a little bit more. So You can use whatever you want, whatever coordinating tape you've got. This one, I had a really pretty shiny one that went over. So if you've got a shiny or a glittery one, you can do that. I've got this one here that I thought was coordinating enough colors. Me personally, I hate dealing with the circle part on this, where the tape is. So I cut my piece off of it just so I can line it up. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to line it up over your line between the sections. You know that the thinner tape is a little bit harder to stick down sometimes, so push it down really, really well. Cut that off. And now that's the last one. As long as you generally get it in a straight line, it doesn't matter whether it's directly over the middle, a little off to the side, whatever. You just want to make sure that it's generally parallel to one of your other tape lines in the same direction that it's going. Now we have another little spot here. I'll probably regret this doing this freehand. Let's see how bad that was. So cut through. There we go. And then we'll cut this. And we have our washi tape card. You don't have to do all these different sections. You could do just 2 sections. You could do, heck, you could do the whole thing going the same direction. Whatever you want to do. But this is one style of a washi tape card that I like to do. And now, if you wanted to finish this and put it on your card, you can put it on whatever card base you want. And it looks very bright green on the screen. It's not quite that bright green in person, but you could do it on black or you could do a pink if you happen to have a pink that matched. Whatever you want to do. Now, one thing I didn't mention at the beginning is I used a white one. I have found that a lot of the washi tapes I have some type of white in them, and so they're kind of see-through. So keep that in mind when you're picking out the color of paper for your back. If you're going to use black, it might darken up the tones of your washi tape. So you can always cut a little bit off of each of your washi tapes and put it on the paper that you're thinking of and see what it looks like and if it comes through or not. So you can just take this, put it on whatever card you want. You could add a sentiment to it if you wanted to, or you could just have a note card just like this and you're all set to go. Thank you for joining me today as we made some washi tape cards. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time on Creating with Jazzy Bundles.